What changes do you see our sport needs to make to be successful on a bigger scale? What direction do we need to go in to reach a wider audience? Like, what should our aim be? A proper, consistent, quality TV schedule, or does it need another big overhaul, or what do you see we need to do?
Yeah, look, all that's part of it. I mean, there's a lot of different things that sort of bolt in to kind of rise a category up, I guess.
Yeah.
For me, it's got to feel progressive. Like, every other motorsport or entertainment in the world has, feels like they're at a current time now and they're always pushing forward. Whereas Speedway in the past, and this is just my opinion, has tended to feel like it was in a little bit of just a stagnant time zone kind of thing that hadn't moved very far from the 80s.
Yeah.
Kind of stuck within the the 90s kind of thing. To the average punter, the cars, they don't look that different to a few years ago. Whereas your Formula Ones and your supercars and all that kind of stuff, they change quite dramatically over time. So you can you can see how they've progressed.
Yeah. It's like they have a plan, isn't it? Like they've got a direction. And like you said, no matter where they are now, they've got a direction for 5-10 years plus time. But I don't know that sprint car racing, or I guess Speedway in general, has that direction. I mean, we have a good entertainment base, a good product to start with, but it's, as far as growing the sport, I just wonder, like, you must have a few more ideas in your head once that you're no longer working at VR or for that company. Like, what sort of things can we work on?
Well, I think, like you said before, it's about, for me, it's about mainstreaming stuff and not making it feel too niche. Because I think for too long, it's felt like the niche sport in my eyes. And that's why we started changing it. And, while, bringing in the USC and all this kind of stuff and starting to hero people again and create, a lot more buzz. And, even things like, linking into the Ben Fordhams of the world. To a lot of people, it was sort of like, well, why are you linking into people like that? Like, why would you bother doing that? And it's kind of like, well, because he's the voice of, Sydney to an audience over here that we may not have even thought of, or, that we can't get access to. So it's about, using the Triple M's of the world and using all these, we upped the drive days and all this kind of stuff, and then just PRing things a lot better. Yeah. I think the thing is, and obviously, we don't have Formula One budget to kind of go, okay, well, the cars are going to be totally different next year or whatever, thing like that. But what you can do is you can change things around the car, and that's what we did. So you've got, the cars and the racing as it is, and to make it progressive, to feel progressive, we changed everything around the racing. So Barry was, his first thing getting into VR with Steve was big screen. Okay, great. We've got a big screen in there. That's sort of like minimum standard of any sporting event these days. Yeah. So that lifted up a little bit. Digital ticketing, clay per view, being a lot slicker with social media, with the communications. I always worked under this philosophy with Gavin Skeen, who was my sort of like designing and that partner in crime, creative partner in crime, that, the racing can be muddy, but the communications can be slick. And that's how we always approach things. So from photographing the drivers, like, having you guys actually buy into it and kind of go, yeah, right, okay, I'll take the time to actually get proper headshots done. Gav would then spend hours sort of manipulating them to make them look amazing. All those little things sort of build a sense of progression, I guess, and just how you communicate with people over social media and things like that, taking the time to talk to people and answer queries and things like that. That's how you kind of build up around it, and that's how we sort of made it start to feel a lot more progressive, you know.
Yeah.
So I think they've just got to keep doing that, and to be honest, with the new track,
Yeah.
there's your opportunity right there.
Well, that's my next question is, what are your thoughts on the new Western Sydney International Speedway? What are your likes, dislikes, location, size? I mean, you might not have an opinion on certain things, but does it have a good opportunity to succeed? We're told by the government that it will be a state-of-the-art speedway, but although it will be new, it doesn't look like it will be, you know, or have state-of-the-art features as such, you know, like I know we've spoken about before. It doesn't look like it's going to have a big screen. It seems like you just said before, it seems like a big screen would be the first thing that would have been included to be state-of-the-art and up to scratch with you know, with a new venue. What are your overall thoughts with the new speedway?
Look, I think I'm hoping that the artist's impression that we see, that we've looked at, you know, obviously quite a lot. I'm just hoping that it's kind of just dropped off. You know, they've forgotten to put it in there. But
yeah,
look, I think it's a great way to start again. I think it's better than not having any speedway at all. I think everyone has to realize that, you know, hey, they've come in and closed this you know, this iconic place down. But on the flip side, at least there is a flip side. There is you know, a light at the end of the tunnel as such. Because I mean, it's amazing how many people were so, you know, upset and sad because this has been, you know, a second home, if not a first home, to so many people for so many years, and I totally understand that. But I think the reality is now you're getting something brand new. And I think what it does is I actually like it where it is, because I think what it does is all of a sudden to the average punter, and I'm talking about just a wider audience here.
Yeah.
To the average punter, you're now rubbing shoulders with supercars, and you're now rubbing shoulders with dragway because you're playing, you're where they're playing. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, so you've got this rub off effect, which gives you legitimacy, you know. Yeah. So for me, I'd be going in there going, right, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of say to a wider, you know, audience, we're a legitimate entertainment and motor racing category now. We're not just some racetrack that's, you know, out in the middle of Parramatta that, you know, I heard about a few years ago, or, you know, I was taken to once when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You're now side by side with, you know, the dragway, supercar track, because that's how people, you got to understand, that's how people see these kind of tracks. A lot of people, you know, a lot of people would be, you know, they don't just see Sydney Motorsport Park as Sydney Motorsport Park. It's, oh, that's where the V8s are, you know, or that's where the supercars race, you know. So
it's like, that's where if you want to see any quality motorsport, that's where you need to go. And with Parramatta Speedway being, you know, 20 minutes up the road, that's like, you lose that legitimacy, doesn't it? So now that it's all together, you go, okay, this is a proper form of motorsport. And I guess what you're getting at is your fans are able to now compare each form of motorsport. And I think because we've got such a good product, that they'll be able to go to the new speedway and go to the drags and go to the supercar track and go, wow, like, you know, sprint car racing or speedway racing is right up there. It is quality form of entertainment.
Yeah, because, you know, to the outsider, and again, I always talk about, you know, like, because those who are in speedway, they'll always go, right? You as an audience, you've got them. They'll turn up every week. They're loyal. Yeah. They've got their favorite drivers and all that. So it's almost like, you know, that's a given. You can't be just swimming in that pool. You've got to be in a much bigger pool. And that's when you've got to start thinking, right, how do I get a wider audience in here? Right. What are my strengths now? Right. I'm near, and there's a massive indoor motocross park there as well. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the same place as supercars are, where, you know, your Shane Van Gisbergen races just up the road from where the speed sprint cars race.
Sure.
To a person who isn't in you know, is a casual motorsport fan, or just a casual fan of taking the kids to an entertainment destination. That's how they think. You know, they think, you know, oh wow, okay, that's at that place where we went and saw, you know, Mark Skaife win a race a couple of years ago, or whatever. You know, that's how they think. You know, so I think it's a really, really good opportunity to, you know, because when we first started the USC, we put up a big billboard right out the front and said the Speedway game has changed. Right now, it's changed again.
Yeah,
that's how it should, in my opinion anyway, it should be sort of rolling further. It's like, right, now it's changed for the better.
So,
what I was going to say is, if everyone continues to be, it's almost like we've got to go through the grieving process, get through it, then you've got to look forward.
Yeah. So let's say you're the new promoter of the new Western Sydney International Speedway. Now, I assume you're not putting your hand up for that role.
Makes me shiver.
But
I've seen Steve. I've seen Steve Green at the end of a Speedway night, and I'm like, yeah. I'm glad I'm not MD here.
Yeah, I'd rather work to the side. What are the first 5 things that need to happen, or things that you would do if you were put in that position to make sure that Speedway in Western Sydney is a success?
First thing I'd do is I'd make best friends with the dragway and the tarmac and the circuit track, because I think there's a future of working together. I think it's, you know, there'd have to be ways of, you know, combining events and, you know, pooling some kind of, you know, and look, I don't know the ins and outs of this, but, you know, you're always stronger together.
Sure.
So I'd be making best friends with them to sort of, you know, uplift that entire area. You know, like I said before, the rising tide philosophy, you know, you've sort of got to pull one thing up and it kind of lifts everything up within a brand sense. I think I'd be doing that. I think I would be migrating all the social media fans over to a new either USC brand or another. I'm not too sure how they do it, but there's a massive social audience that Valvoline Raceway has. I'd be protecting that. That's what I'd be doing, because that's a great way to communicate with people, because we communicated with a whole lot of casual viewers within that world. So you've got a big database there, you know, which, you know, don't lose. I wouldn't be losing that, because, you know, when we started, there was 12,000, and then, you know, with the team, we built it to 72,000, and it wasn't easy. It's even harder these days. So, because you need budgets. At the end of the day, you need budgets, man. And that's, you know, that's the problem. I would also be looking after the rusted on fans who feel like they've lost family members, you know, as in a track, you know, the Parramatta Raceway was a family member to a lot of people. So I would be doing something, and I think we mentioned it the other day, like, you know, bringing the iconic billboard over, or, you know, I mean, you could have a little walk of fame or something like that, or bringing something from home over to sort of make those people who gave, you know, all their time and money over the years to make them feel like, you know, this is a good step forward. So I'd be looking after the legacy fans, I guess, those that are going to be coming over. I'd revitalize the USC, you know, give it a good crack. You know, this is the new home of the USC.
Sure.
Sydney Motorsport Sprintcar. Get a big screen, and then it's big news within Sydney. So I'd make sure that, you know, for the first, I'll be making sure for that first event, you've got news cameras down there.
Yeah.
And just, you know, you only get one crack at a big start of something. And so I'd be making sure that first event is basically a kick-ass event.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Sprintcar Hub YouTube channel.
You can also find Sprintcar Hub on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for watching.